It takes only a few notes from her laptop guitar to know that Mary Flower is the real deal, even if she may not be what you'd expect in a great Southern-style blues musician.
Heaven's journey on before us, heaven's journey on before us, heaven's journey on before us. See what the Lord has done. Don't you worry, don't you worry. Said, don't you worry, 'cause the work is almost done. I think it's always good to go back to roots and find out what's there, you know. That's the stuff for me. I am pretty new to the Portland area, but I am certainly a resident now. I've got my driver's license, I've got my license plate, and I've got a house, and I'm living here, and I love it. You know, it's... I'll be just fine because they said the rains were about to stop, so I said...
Even though she's new here, Mary already can fill the house at Artichoke's back gate stage. Only a relative handful of guitarists can tackle the intricate nuances of this kind of music. Mary's early musical experiences were anything but unusual. She grew up in Indiana and learned ukulele and guitar by playing along with songs on the radio.
It was Simon and Garfunkel, it was Peter, Paul and Mary, groups like that. It was not easy to find this music. But when I went to college, I was at Indiana University, which is a great folklore school. And there were a lot of great roots-oriented musicians of all kinds. And I began to understand that the music was much deeper than what was commercially released.
After college, Mary packed up her guitar and headed for Colorado.
I found myself touring with a woman named Katie Moffett, who's a singer-songwriter today still. Then I got married in '73 and formed a group called the Mother Folkers, the most carefully pronounced name in the history of show business. Once I built a tower to the sun, bricks and mortar and lime. Once I built a tower, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a dime?
In the early 90s, it was a stint as a guest artist at a Blues Heritage Week in West Virginia that brought Mary to the Appalachian style of blues.
I met the players, and I fell in love with the people who played this music, and it's something I've continued with. Probably my favorite players are Blind Blake and Reverend Gary Davis. Those are two of the top guys. The guys who made the guitar sound like a piano, and the guys who were the best at alternating the bass and adding in the syncopation of the melody.
What do you mean, make it sound like a piano?
Well, if you listen to Blind Blake, you just can't believe it's two hands playing that kind of music. You know. It's very danceable, very upbeat, very wonderful stuff, and very difficult to play. And it's enough for a life study for me, a lifetime study.
Mary found a small but dedicated following for her authentic yet original style of playing. But a few years ago, she began thinking about leaving Colorado for greener musical pastures.
So this is a song of mine called Virginia Bound, and I wrote this when I knew it was time for a change. And I was actually considering moving to the opposite coast. Boy, was that a mistake. I mean, wow. I did just the opposite. I moved to the other coast. I am Virginia bound. I am Virginia bound. Well, you pack up the trunk, the old black hound. Yes, I am Virginia bound.
Oregon won out partly because of a powerful personal attraction. Mary's son Jesse lives in Portland and plays bass in the bluegrass band Jack Straw. But there were professional considerations behind the move, too.
I couldn't work in Denver. I mean, I rarely worked, and sometimes 2 months would go by before I had a gig. And I just finally realized it was time to change all of that. But now I'm Portland bound. I'm Portland bound. Well, you pack up the trunk and the old black hound. Yes, I am Portland bound.
Even living in the same town, Mary says she seldom gets the chance to play with Jesse.
He's on the road and I'm on the road, and I'm going to try as hard as I can to get him to play with me somewhere.
Mary not only loves the authentic old blues, she also loves the old guitars.
This is kind of a rare find. It's a Royce Meck Stage Deluxe. There's something about a vintage guitar that's been played for 60 years or more that's developed warmth and maybe some magic from somebody who owned it in 1930. But mostly it is the fact that it's broken in, it's aged, and there's nothing like the sound it can make.
Heartbeat went along as Mary checked out old and new guitars at Pioneer Music. None of the vintage instruments on hand were better than the one she already owns, but she was quite fond of one of the expensive new Goodall guitars.
Yeah, I'll take it. So if each of you guys throw in $1,000, I'll pay the $750.
Mary says she's found the quality of musicians here matches anywhere in the country.
Find me riding out in the world. Oh, look who's here. If you haven't any hay, get on down the road. Hi, Mark.
As if to prove her point, Mark Hansen, another great Oregon picker, just happened by.
Down the road, if you haven't any hay now, get on down the road. These days, the world's all rough and tumble these days. Give me strength lest I stumble down. Take my hand, touch my soul, wash my fears away. 'Cause I need a helping hand these days.
So far, Mary is happy with her decision to start a new musical life in Portland.
It's taken a lot of courage to make this move, to sell a house and go to a new place, and I finally just did it. These days, the world's all rough and tumble these days. Give me strength. There are so many musicians that are so good. I'm overwhelmed. I'm in awe of the music scene here. I'm working here much more than I've ever worked before. I hope it continues.